Good morning, children. Welcome to the English class. Today we are going to start lesson number 10, The Red Room. As you remember, we had completed till lesson 7 from Real English in the months before terminal examination. We are not going to do lesson 8 and 9. Lesson 8 is Candy Jane and Professor Boogle. That lesson we are going to leave, and lesson number 9, self-contained, a poem by Walt Whitman also, we are going to leave. But if you want to read it on your own and practice, you can do that. But it is not included in the syllabus this time. So we come to lesson number 10, The Red Room. Now, Red Room is an interesting story by the famous writer H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells was an English author, and he is best known for his works of science fiction. His famous novels include The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, and The War of the Worlds. Now, The Red Room is his well-known story, and we are going to do it. Do you believe in ghosts and other supernatural powers? Many people do. We have to think for a moment and decide whether we believe in ghosts or we don't. There are many people in this world who believe, and there are a lot of people who do not believe that there are ghosts. Here's the story of a brave young man who decides to prove that ghosts don't exist. Now, this brave young man decided to prove that ghosts don't exist. Read on to find out what happened to him on that frightful night which he spent alone inside a great haunted room in an old castle. Now, to prove that there were no ghosts, he decided to spend a night all alone inside a great haunted room. It was a big room which was believed to be haunted, or which people believed had ghosts, and this was in an old castle. So he wanted to spend a day or a night actually in that room to prove that there were no ghosts. Now, before we start reading the story, let us look at the new words and their meanings so that we are able to understand the story better. So, let us start with the word bank. Monotonous. Monotonous means when it never changes or is boring. Something which never changes and is boring is called monotonous. I get very bored doing this monotonous work. That means the work is never changing and is boring. Gloomily is taken from the word gloomy, which means sadly. Queerer is the comparative form of queer, and it means strange. Then the next word is crutch. Crutch is a long stick put under the shoulder that helps you walk. When someone meets with an accident and has a fracture and a plaster, or someone is handicapped and are not able to walk properly, they use a crutch, which is like a stick which you put under your shoulder or under your arms, and it helps you to walk without any other support. Patch is a small piece of material used to cover a hole. It could be any material, a leather patch or a cloth patch or any other patch, a small piece of something which is used to cover a hole. Infamous means well known for being bad or evil. Now, we all know some players are very famous, some film stars are very famous. Famous means when you are well known for doing something good and doing something well. Infamous means you are well known but for doing something bad or evil. You have criminals, you have murderers, you have smugglers who are covered in the papers, and they are covered not for doing something good. They are there in the news because they are well known for doing something bad. So infamous means you are well known but well known for something bad. Now, some more words. Insistent means demanding something firmly. When you insist, keep on asking or demanding for something again and again, it means you are insistent. Humid means warm and damp, and you know there's a lot of humidity before the rainy season. Your body feels very sticky and you say, oh, it is very humid today. Huddled means gathered closely together. When you have a lot of people or lot of animals in a small space, they have to sit or stand very closely. It is called huddled. Illuminate means shine light on something. When you illuminate something, you switch on the light shines, and the word is illuminate. Survey is an act of examining. When you go around finding out something, it is called a survey, and then you collect some facts and figures and then interpret them. Barricade, we must have seen a lot of times on the road. The police keeps putting on barricades. So a barricade is a line of objects placed on the way to stop people from getting past. If the police or some other people don't want the vehicles to pass that way or don't want the people to cross that road, they put a lot of stands or some other objects and stop them from going that side. So it is called a barricade. Now some more words. Solitude is a state of being lonely or a state of being alone. Lurking, waiting somewhere secretly to do something bad or illegal. You have lurking danger also when there is some danger which the person around does not know about. So lurking means waiting somewhere secretly to do something bad or illegal. Extinguished became smaller in size and amount, especially when a candle blows out or a fire becomes less and less and then gets extinguished. Tripped, fell by catching the foot on something. When you fall down because something has come on your way, in your way when you are walking, you just hit that and you fall. It is called tripped. Now please see, because the word extinguished and tripped are in the past tense, the meaning you have to write is also in the past tense. Extinguished means became smaller in size and amount, but if you don't have ed, you just have extinguished, then you have to write the present tense form of became. And what is the present tense form of became? Become. Smaller in size and amount. Similarly, if you have just tripped and not the past tense, then you will have to write the present tense of fell, and the present tense of fell is fall. So you'll write fall by catching the foot on something. But here we have past tense, so the meaning also has to be in the past tense. Now the last word in our word bank is abruptly, which means suddenly and unexpectedly. When you don't expect, you don't think something is going to happen, or someone does something very suddenly, then we say abruptly, or we use the word abruptly. Now you know the word and what it means. So now I want everyone to open their Real English book on page number 65 and take out the lesson, The Red Room. You please take a pencil in hand so that if you want to jot down some points or you want to write the meaning, you can do it. Now, has everyone opened their books on page 65? I've already read the introduction, which was, of course, a great introduction because it really makes you interested in reading the story. And that is something good writers do. They really make you curious and make you interested to read more. So now we go directly to the story. I can assure you that it will be very difficult for me to be frightened. I do not believe in ghosts. Indeed, if ghosts do exist, they'll have to work very hard to scare me. And I stood up before the fire with my glass in my hand. Now, who is the narrator of the story or the writer is speaking these lines? He says that he can assure you, that means the people who are listening to him, that it is very difficult for him to be frightened. Why? Because he does not believe in ghosts. And he adds that if ghosts do exist, if there are ghosts, they will be very, very it will be very, very difficult for them to scare him. So he has told those people that he doesn't believe in ghosts, and if ghosts do exist, they'll have to work really hard to make him scared or to make him afraid. And then he stood up before the fire with my glass in my hand. So he stood up, then there was a fire where they were sitting, and he had a glass in his hand. "It is your own choice," said the man with the wrinkled arm, and glanced at me hesitantly. Now there was someone old, because they say the man with the wrinkled arm, you get wrinkles when you grow old on your face, on your arms. So he says that it is your choice to believe in ghosts or not to believe in ghosts, and glanced at him hesitantly. He looked at him and he hesitated to look at him, but then he glanced at him very quickly and said it is his choice. "I am 28 years old and I've never ever seen a ghost in my life. I simply don't believe in them," said I. Now the narrator says that he is 28 years old right now. That means at the time the story was written, when he was talking to these people, he was 28 years old. And he says he has never ever seen a ghost in his life, and so he doesn't believe in ghosts. Then there was an old woman also amongst the listeners. The old woman sat staring hard into the fire. Now a fire was there in the middle, and so she was sitting and staring. That means she kept on looking into the fire, her pale eyes wide open. Her eyes were colorless. Pale means dull or colorless. "Aye," she broke in with a monotonous tone. Her voice had a monotonous tone, and as I told you in the word bank, it was a very boring or never changing way of speaking. But then she adds, "But in all those 28 years, you have never seen a house like this. It is full of tragedies and sorrow." So she adds her bit to what the narrator had said. She says, but in your life of 28 years, you have never seen a house like this. And if you had seen a house like this, you would have believed in ghosts. Why she says this is that this house is full of tragedies, that is, sad endings, something like accident, deaths have occurred here often, and it is full of sadness. I half suspected that the old people were speaking so gloomily to enhance the queerer nature of the house that they had been looking after. Well, I said, let's see if I meet the ghost. Now he had suspected, or he had suspicion, that these old people who were sitting and listening to him were speaking so sadly and slowly to enhance the queerer nature of the house. The house looked strange and they spoke so sadly to increase the strange nature of the house and make it look stranger. And these people from this line we know were the caretakers of this house. No one lived here, but then these people were the ones who were the caretakers of the house. And so the line which was added was, let's see if I meet the ghost. So now the narrator adds the line that because you say this house is different and it is full of tragedies and sorrow, and so you may have a ghost here, or they believed strongly that there was a ghost there. So the narrator says, let's see if I meet the ghost. Then I heard someone entering the house. While these people, that is the man with the wrinkled arm and the woman, were talking, he heard someone entering the house. From the slow footsteps, it sounded that he was older than the two people sitting before me. The two people sitting before the writer were old, but this man, or the person who had entered, was walking very slowly with slow footsteps, so it showed the sound. He was not able to see him till then, but the sound proved that this man was even older than the two sitting before the writer. True enough, an old wrinkled man walked into the room with the help of a crutch. And what he had guessed was true. An old wrinkled man, older than the two before, walked into the room with the help of a crutch. Now, crutch, I told you, is a stick which helps you to walk, which you have to put under the shoulder. So he was not able to walk without a crutch. He had a crutch, and with the help of this crutch, he walked into the room. On one eye, he wore a patch. Now, on one eye, he had a piece of something. It could be leather or cloth, and from this you know that he may have lost one of his eyes. You must have seen a patch in pirate movies and pirate storybooks where they show them wearing a patch on one eye. Similarly, this man had one patch on one eye. In fact, all three old people themselves looked like ghosts. Now the writer summarizes what he had said so far. He said, in fact, all these three old people who were the caretakers of this castle looked like ghosts. That is, if the ghosts existed. So he adds that is if ghosts exist, because still now the writer doesn't believe that ghosts exist, but if ghosts are there, then these people looked like ghosts. Their clothes, manners, and speech all belonged to the past. Their clothes were what people used to wear in the past, the way they behaved and the way they spoke all were from the past. So the writer says that they looked more like ghosts than real people. Now we continue with the story. It is your choice, dear boy, said the old man one more time. So again, the old man repeated, it is your choice whether you want to believe in ghosts or not. Aye, it is. Now please tell me, where is the infamous haunted red room where I am to spend the night, I asked. So in that castle, there was this red room. It's with capital R, both R's are capital, because it was a special room which was infamous because it was well known for something bad. And what was that something bad? Everyone believed that that room was haunted, it had ghosts. So he asked them, where is this haunted red room where I'm going to spend the night? Well, if you are insistent on doing that, you must go there alone. So these people told him that if you insist, if you keep on demanding or wanting to go to this red room, you'll have to do that alone. We are not going to come with you. We have never had the courage to go there. Though they were taking care of this big castle, they had never gone to this red room. So they said, we don't have the courage to go there, and if you want to go and spend the night there, you'll have to go alone. There is a candle outside, light it to see the way. Now they gave him directions where he could find the red room. So they said, there's a candle lying outside, you light it, and in that light you can see the way. That means there was no electricity there. Walk along the passage till you come across a spiral staircase. So they said, you keep walking along the passage till you come across a spiral staircase. You must have seen spiral staircases which go round and round and round till you reach the top, and mostly they are of wrought iron. Climb and then you will see a door. So when you come to this spiral staircase, you have to climb it, and then you will see a door which is covered with green cloth. You climb it, and then a door you will see which is covered with green cloth. Now you have to enter the corridor through the door. So you enter this, open this door, enter the corridor. The red room is the last one at the end of the corridor. Now, after entering the corridor, he has to keep on walking because the red room is the last one at the end of the corridor. So these were the instructions or the directions given by the old man who was the caretaker of this castle, but he had never been to this room because he was scared, but he knew where it was, and so he told the writer. We continued the story. The writer walked along the dark and shadowy corridors to reach the red room. It was dark because there was no electricity, and the objects around were throwing shadows on the walls. So it was dark and shadowy, and the corridor he had to cross to reach the red room. Dark shadows danced across. The shadows looked as if dancing in the candlelight. You know, when you walk around with the candle, the things around, the shadows of the things around look as if they are dancing. And he did not dare to look behind him. The corridor smelled humid. That is, the smell was as if it was warm and damp because, as you know, no one used to go to this room or this area, and so it had been closed since many years, and it smelled as if it was very, very damp and warm. But before he reached the room, he thought that he saw shadows of people huddled together. He thought that he saw shadows of people who had gathered together. He was a bit shaken, he was a bit scared, and But he was bold enough to demand that these people should show themselves. Now he got no response, there was no reply, and so he kept on walking. But then it turned out to be a statue. This statue had a shadow and which seemed as if people were huddled together. The great red room of the Lorraine castle was so big and dark that the light of the candle could not illuminate the whole room. It was big and dark, and so one candle was not enough to brighten it up. Apprehensive, he was still not sure and a bit puzzled. He recalled the memory of his friend who stayed there last time and was found dead in the morning. The next morning, when the room was opened, he was found dead. He also remembered other people who had died staying in this room. And all these stories he remembered while he was in the red room. But then also he decided to make a complete survey of the room so nothing would surprise him. So he went around, he surveyed the room, he examined the room, what was there in the room, so that nothing could surprise him and he knew exactly what all was there in the room. Then I lit all the candles in the room and drew away all the curtains to make sure nobody hid behind them. Then there were some more candles in the room. He lit them up with his candle which he was carrying, and he drew away all the curtains so that some light could come, as well as nobody would be able to hide behind them, and he could ensure that no one was hiding behind the curtains. Additional light was cast by the huge fireplace. There was a huge fireplace, and some light was added to the light of the candles, and this was very, very helpful, and so he was thankful. Then I sat down on a big chair and used the table as a barricade. So he sat on a big chair which was in the room and used a table as a barricade, that is to stop someone if someone, and especially if a ghost comes. I sat there waiting in solitude. He was all alone, so he was waiting in solitude. I admit I gradually became increasingly conscious of the shadows dancing across the room. Now, because he was sitting there all alone in a dark room, he was more and more conscious. He started paying attention to and getting aware of the shadows which were dancing all around the room. I felt an odd sensation of something, maybe a presence lurking around. And he had a very odd sensation. Sensation is what you feel you cannot see. And he felt that something, maybe there was someone present, of course, secretly around in the room. And this presence he could not see, but he could only feel. I was soon nervous, and soon this made him nervous. Suddenly at midnight, he kept on sitting till midnight, and then suddenly at midnight, two candles blew out. Suddenly, when it was midnight, the two candles which were burning in the room blew out, they got extinguished. I dashed to relight them. Now, dashed is when dashed and darted means when you go quickly in that direction. So he quickly got up and went to relight them. Now, when he relit them, then two more extinguished at the end of the room. So he went to one side to relight the candles, and the two other candles then got extinguished. I thought to myself, I must have done that myself in my hurry to light the other. So he thought for a moment, and he thought that he darted or dashed or went very fast to light those two candles which had got extinguished, and in that act he must have extinguished the other two. So now what he did was I darted to light those two, but only to have more candles dying off. So the other two, he went quickly to light them up, but then there were some more candles dying off. That means they were blowing out as if they were crushed by somebody's hands, and it looked as someone was crushing them, and so the candles were blowing off. Now, isn't this story very interesting and a bit scary too? We have some more paragraphs, and those we will do the next time. Please read the story. The story, as I told you, is in your Real English book on page number 65. Now this story I'll continue in my next video. Today's homework you will be getting in the ERP Prep app. Please read the prep and do it before we meet next time with another interesting video. Thank you, children. Have a nice day. Take care.